guys. My name is Brandon Quick. I'm an alcoholic. Got 369 days today. Sorry, I never thought I'd be up here, man. Last few years have been rough. I came through here, a little bit about me. Yeah, I came through here in 2022. Before I get started, I want to thank a couple very important people in my life. Jesse, dude's been there since day one. Wyonzi, she was my cook. I was the pickiest fucking patient, I'm sure. Seriously, I came in there, I was like, I only need egg whites and chicken breasts. And dude, she made it happen. I don't know how, but she was always there for me. She still to this day is. Jamie was my counselor. She heard me go through a lot of stuff, a lot of struggles. She brought out she made me do a lot of stuff I didn't want to do, but I needed to. Star was there for me. Got Big John. I saw a familiar face in there earlier. Shane, where's he at? There he is. That's my guy right there, man. I saw Raina in here. I want to thank all you guys for, you never give up on me. And my, last but not least, my beautiful fiance, who been with her for about a little over 2 years now, and first year was rocky, man. I'll get to that in a minute, but I just want to thank you guys so much. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys. A little bit about me. I grew up out of state. I'm from Oklahoma. Anybody in there from? You got some Oklahoma people? Yeah? All right. I could tell. I like these people already. Okay, there we go. I like that. A little bit about my life. I grew up, I grew up in Oklahoma, small town. Growing up, my mom was an addict. Love you, man. Love you, brother. My mom was an addict. My whole life, man, I grew up around addiction. But it's crazy because, like, growing up, I never drank. Like, I was always an athlete. I was always involved in sports. FCA, I was involved in the church and stuff, and I never drank. And, I saw what it did to my mom growing up. And it wasn't until I moved to Norman when I was about 19 when I first started drinking. I'm 38 today. And the reason I say that is because I just turned 38 back in June, and this is the first birthday in 19 years I haven't drank. You know how crazy that is? Like, I never drank, man. I wasn't an addict. And 19, I started drinking, and I moved out here to California when I was about 25. Was drinking, I was doing personal training in Orange County. I just drank here and there. Never thought I had a problem. Drank through my 20s, drank through my 30s, and I just never thought I was an addict. And it didn't really hit me really hard until April 2020. I was overweight. I was out of shape. I was hospitalized with pancreatitis, and the doctor, I'll never forget, the doctor was very blunt, very, very nice guy because he saved my life. And he was like, hey, man, he's like, so he came in, he's like, how often do you drink? I said, not very often. We started breaking it down, and I was like, man, I drink every day. And, he's like, how many glasses a day? And I'm like, how big's the glass? We talking a bottle? And I realized I had a problem. And that day I made a commitment when I got out of the hospital. I said, I'm not going to drink. And this is what I did the last few years is I went on about 50 days where I didn't drink. And I lost weight, got healthy, did that. And I started to say, I don't have a drinking problem. I'm fine. I can get back into it. Well, around the same time, my mom, who we moved out of from Oklahoma, who always had a drinking problem, she actually had a bad car wreck. And she got clean, sober, moved out here. And around that same time, we started to notice her memory was getting a little bit like dementia. And come to find out, my mom had wet brain. And we slowly started seeing her slowly deteriorate. And, I started thinking, like, man, is that going to happen to me? No, it's not going to happen to me. I don't know about you guys, but, like, I never wanted to admit I was an addict. Like, I don't have a fucking drinking problem. Like, I just like to drink every once in a while, a little bit too much. I'm fine. And I started seeing what was happening to her. And, in 2021, she passed away. Sorry. 2021, she passed away, and I stopped drinking for a little bit because it scared me, and then I got back into it, and I kept drinking. And then 2022, I was in a bad motorcycle wreck. I was hospitalized. I was at home. I was off work. I was depressed. I couldn't work out. I didn't have my fitness, and I started drinking again. And I kept going on benders and benders, and I gave it up a little bit again. And I don't know about you guys, but what I used to do, and it's the dumbest thing now, is I would set goals. All right, I'm not going to drink for 30 days. But then after 30 days, I would celebrate with a drink. And then a couple days of drinking. And I would say, I'm not going to do 40 days. And it was like, oh, but I'm not an alcoholic. I'm fine. Like, and then back in 2022, I lost my grandma, who was like my best friend. I got into a really bad work injury where I actually tore my whole tendon, my tricep, my left arm. I was on workman's comp for about 11 months, and I was at home. I was depressed. My fitness was taken away. I was sad. I was in a relationship I wasn't happy with, and I started just drinking. And I was drinking heavy. I'm talking every day for months. And that was the summer that, my ex at the time was like, well, you either go to rehab or, that's it. So I came to rehab, June 2022. I came through rehab the first time. That's when I met Wanzi, Star, Jamie, Big John. And guys, I didn't want to be here. I was forced to come here. I came in and I had a positive attitude. And in the back of my head, I was like, you know what? I'm going to do the 30 days. I'm going to go home. I'm going to be fine. Like, I'm good. Like, I got this. Like, because that's what my dumbass says. I got this. And I did. I went home. I was like, oh, cool. I came, got my 30-day chip, went home, went in the same environment. I drank again. I came back second time. Did the whole thing. Went to the Van Owen house. It's Van Owen house, right? So went there, did that, went back home, drank again. Came back the third time. It wasn't until the third time I came back that, me and my ex, we divorced, I separated, I kicked out of the house. I moved out here, got into a sober living house. And I just kind of thought everything was just, that was it, man. My life is just like, that was rock bottom. And that was around the time a couple months later after that, I met my beautiful fiance, October 2022. And I was living at the sober living house, and the thing that helps me is my accountability. Living there, you got a piss test every couple days. Well, I started dating her, and then I slowly moved in with her, and I slowly started getting back to that, like, oh, you know what, I can drink. I can do it every once in a while. I remember like going out to dinner, I had a beer, and I was like, oh, I'm normal again. Like, I'm not an alcoholic. I'm not an addict. Like, this is awesome. Like, he missed me. Like, this is cool, And then that year, I started doing the same thing, man. I'd talk to Wylans every once in a while, and I messed up again. All right, cool. What do you got? 60 days. And I'd go a few. And then, last year I went on a bender back in November, and me and her got in a fight, of course, because I was drinking. And I went to a hotel, went on a week, bender, went back home, got right. And I drank again around December. And I finally, after that, I got baptized. And I woke up one morning, and I know in the back of my head I'm an alcoholic. I knew it. I just didn't want to admit it. It's like I'm too strong for that. I'm not, that's not me. I'm not like them. That's the stuff I used to think when I came to rehab. You know what I mean? Like it's not that I look down on people. It's just like I never wanted to admit I was an addict. And one thing I realize nowadays is the only time you should look down on somebody is when you're helping them up, is when you're lifting them up. And when I came to rehab the first few times, I didn't want to admit I had that. And then this last time around, last December, I admitted it, man. I woke up, and the thing about it was I stopped having hangovers. I started having withdrawals. The day I woke up, when I wasn't no longer getting a headache or a hangover, I would have withdrawals. That's not a sign of a normal drunk. That's an alcoholic. And I'll never forget December 26th, man. I woke up in our house. I had COVID that week. That was another thing. I was fine for like a month or two. I caught COVID, was off work, and that was my excuse to drink. I don't know about you guys, but as alcoholics, we find any reason to drink. It's sunny outside. I'm off. Oh, man, there's a bottle. Let me drink it. And that's what I did. And December 26th, I woke up, and I had the shakes. I wasn't feeling good. And I finally had to look in the mirror, and I had to say to God, man, I said, I'm broke, dude. I'm broke. Like, I can't fix it. I need you to help. And I don't know what it is ever since that day, but, man, you can ask my fiance. I've been the most positive, lively person every single day. My faith has been stronger than it's ever been. Amen. Sorry, my allergies are all messed up. You got Kleenex, man? Oh, yeah. They're like, he's coming. Give him the tissue. But no, ever since that day, man, and, people ask, like one thing that I haven't done, I can't sit up here and stay, or I can't sit up here and say, and I know it because I was kind of told it's not like I haven't gotten a sponsor. I haven't sat down with someone and actually worked the 12 steps. I'm not saying, you got to remember, this is my sobriety journey. Everybody has a different journey in life, whether it's your job, your family, whatever it is. My sober journey is my journey with God. And my journey with God, because I've had this talk with a few people and they say, well, and I'll be honest with you, I don't judge my sobriety because I'm not going to listen to it. Because this is my sobriety. This is what's got me to 369 days. And I've had people say, well, if you don't do this and this, it's not going to work. I'm sorry, but fuck you. In the nicest, kindest way. My sobriety is working because my faith is stronger than it's ever been, man. I've truly surrendered to God. Everything I do is for God. Every morning I wake up, the first thing I do is I get to work. I send my fiance a beautiful text and I say, I promise you I won't drink today. She'll tell you. I do it every morning. It's accountability. That's one thing that helps me is my accountability. I'm a very dedicated, strong, determined person. And if I tell you I'm doing something, I'm going to do it. And one of the main things in my life, the biggest thing that's higher than, God's my higher power, but fitness means everything to me. I take my sobriety and my fitness the same way. I got 4 main things in my life that mean the most to me. My sobriety, my faith, my family, and my fitness. Those are the 4 most important things to me in my life. And I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for, my relationship with God. One thing I always think about is now, instead of getting wasted on the bottle, what did I write it down? Instead of getting wasted and start using that wasted time to help others and find God. Stop getting wasted on the bottle and the demon in the bottle and start spending more time with God. And that's what I do on a daily basis. Like now, one thing I do also is before, like I said, I would find reasons to drink. Now I find reasons not to drink. So when I get in that weak moment and I get in that prayer or something like that, I sit there and I think about all the stuff I have going on for me, my family, my fitness, my faith, my fiance, and I don't know about you guys, but accountability is something that means a lot to me. What's working for me today is I'm living life by life's terms, man. I got a great job. I got a great family. I got a great future ahead of me. Alcohol was just getting in the way last time. And what I do every day, I know I said, I don't have a sponsor. I do have a sponsor, man. I have God. I talk to God every day. I talk to him every night before we go to bed. I talk to him every morning when I wake up. Every time I have a problem or something like that, I sit there and pray. It meant a lot to me to come talk tonight, and I was nervous because I didn't know how to, I can't sit up here, like I said, I can't sit up here and stress. I'm working the program, man. I got a sponsor. I've done the 12 steps with sponsor. Guys, I haven't. But it doesn't mean that my faith isn't going to keep me sober, because that's exactly what's keeping me sober. I come up with all these quotes all the time. I mean, seriously, I'm telling my fiance stuff all the time. She probably gets annoyed by it, but I'm constantly like, oh, I got this quote. I got this thing I wrote down. But she sees the man that I've turned into be. Because of my faith, man. Everything I do is for God. I pray to him every day, and he's looking out for me. He's got my back. There's no U-turns in my road to God. There's not. And that's the difference between because I've had people ask me, what's the difference between getting sober before? I was always, I always consider myself, a Christian, a spiritual person, but I was a part-time Christian, just like I was a part-time drinker, man. I wasn't putting God first. And then when I finally, that day, and I did, man, I told her, I said, I had to talk with God, and I told him, I'm broke, man, I can't fix it, I need your help. And every single day, I pray, and I do everything for God, and I live on God's terms. And, this last year, it's crazy to look back on my sobriety. I got to do so much stuff this past year for the first time sober. How awesome that is? I got to go to a country concert. Oklahoma guys, I love country. Okay, people don't like country in here. That sucks. But I love country. And we went to a Dustin Lynch concert a few months ago. And I went sober. And I remembered it. And I look at photos and I'm like, I don't look drunk. I look okay. That's great. Universal. I've got to go to holidays. This whole past holiday season, we're around our families who are drinking, partying, and stuff like that. And I'm the guy staying sober. And I couldn't do that without my faith. It's not easy every day. A lot of normies don't realize what it's like to be an addict. People will never realize it. The other day I was at my uncle's and he says, hey, you got a year tomorrow. It was on Christmas Day. And he goes, yeah, you can stop counting the days now. And I said, no, man, that's not how it works. One thing about me that you'll know is I love fitness. And I like my steps. I count my steps. I do. I'm like a nerd when it comes to count my steps. I count my steps like I count my sober days. I got 369 days on my app. And I do not want to look back on day one again. So I treat every single day as a new day. Because that's how we got it. I can't ever say I got this. That's one thing I used to say all the time. Jamie used to hate me for it because I say, Jamie, I got this. She's like, no, you don't. And I didn't know what that meant. I really didn't. Until, I have to take it on a day-to-day basis. Every single day when I step foot out of bed, I'm so grateful. I take every little thing in life as a victory. Every small thing in a victory. I get to wake up sober. I get to go to bed tonight sober. You know, I get to set foot out of bed tomorrow. I get to start a new day. And it's, yeah, it might be day 370, but it's day one of my sobriety. Every single day is a new day. I can't ever say I got this. I can't ever slip up. And God won't let me, because when I talk to him, he answers back. And that's the thing about God, is people think, oh, does prayer really work? You know, like I've had people ask me, you know, like, well, if God's got your back, then why do you make you an addict? You know what? I'm not mad that I'm an addict. You know, I heard a story a few months back. I was watching a video, and this kid and his dad were talking. And this kid had cancer, and he stage 4 or something like that. And he was passing, and his dad said, you know, the kid was praying, and the dad's like, are you mad at God? And he goes, no. And he's like, but you have cancer. You're dying. He goes, well, if he didn't give it to me, he'd give it to me, my brother or my sister. And I'm strong enough to take the pain. I have a little sister who luckily has never, ever dealt with addiction, has never drank, has never had any of that. And I thank God that he gave it to me, because I'm strong enough, and I don't want her to go through that. So I'm not mad at God. God has a plan for everybody. God put me through shitty stuff in the past to get me to where I'm at today. He made me stronger. God doesn't give the strongest battles to his weakest soldiers. Just like all of you guys in here, none of you guys are weak. You're just fighting an addiction that we're all fighting, and it sucks. You know, but I'm not embarrassed by it. Anybody that knows me will know I have a year of sobriety. I'll tell everybody. I'm Brandon, nice to meet you. I got 369 days. They might not know what I'm talking about, but we can continue the conversation. I'll tell you what I'm talking about. I'm not mad that I didn't get to choose my parents. You know, my dad, a little bit about, you know, my dad's still an addict. He just moved to Missouri. He's been out of rehab the last couple months. I got an older brother who's an opioid addict who's still missing in Oklahoma as of the last 10 months. Shane knows about my brother. And I have no idea where he's at. But I have to worry about my life. I can't worry about other people's lives. And I have to focus on what works for me every single day when I wake up. And when I step out of bed and I pray and I think about God and I thank God for all the blessings I have, that's what gets me through the next day. You know what I mean? Like it's 7:30. I got 4.5 hours to stay sober to make it to the next day. That's all I'm worried about the rest of the day. It's 4.5 hours. What am I doing the next 4.5 hours to stay sober? I'm standing here talking to you guys. You know what I mean? This right here, as much as God means to me, guys, it's stuff like this that I've been fired up all day about coming to talk, man. I hit up Brandon last night. Hey, man, can I speak? Because I need this. Like, God's been heavy on my heart about just sharing my story and sharing it with people, because I never thought I would sit up here and have a year, dude. I didn't. You guys didn't. You didn't. I know people. My fiance was skeptical, man. I was bad. And she literally, Jamie knew, because I was working my own plan in rehab, man. Jamie's like, you gotta do this. Well, what if I do this? Like, I never listened. One thing that Jamie had me do, which was amazing in rehab, and to this day I think about it, and I read it every once in a while, and it's let me, growing up with my mom was terrible. She was an addict. She was in and out of boyfriends, and I lived on my own ever since I was 15. I had it rough growing up. We all did. Am I going to sit here and boo-hoo about my past? No. My choice is to make my future better, and that's what I'm doing today. But one thing my mom is, she dated different guys, and I was so mad at her, man. She was an addict. She let her boyfriends beat on me. She would just, I was so mad at her. And Jamie saw that when I was in rehab. And Jamie made me write a letter to my mom. And I wrote this long letter, and it took me a couple days to write. But when I read it, I felt so good about it, because I was getting out the anger, the sadness, the happiness. But I was kind of not really forgiving her, but just letting that demon get out. And that was stuff I was holding within my addiction. Was little stuff. I was blaming the past for my reason I'm drinking today. I can't blame my parents. They fucked up. They're addicts. Whatever, man. I don't have to be. I am. Sorry, I'm an addict. But I don't have to let it ruin my life. But when Jamie let me, and my fiance said, I still look at that letter to this day. I still look at that. I don't know if I told you that, but I still have that letter. And it helps me to realize, like, just because my past was so terrible, man, God has my back. And ever since I made that commitment to God and I surrendered, I get to decide every single day what I'm doing the next day. I don't need to blame my parents. I don't need to blame my past. And that's one thing that, Jamie did for me in rehab that was amazing. But, the beautiful thing also about getting sober is I get a second chance at life. You know what I mean? Like this last year, I was telling my auntie this not too long ago, but like, I have more feelings now, like little feelings. Like we'll watch a movie, my fans will catch me crying. about a little scene. Like I'm starting to get feelings back that I haven't had in a while because I was so blurred and like with addiction and alcohol. You know what I mean? Like just little feelings. Like my BS meter's high, man. I don't know about you guys, but when you get so sober for so long, you talk to people and you're like, that guy's full of crap. Like it's just little stuff I start to notice. Like, but I get a second chance at life and I get to decide, what I do with it every day. My addiction doesn't define the person I am. What defines me is if I let my addiction get to me every day and I sit there and I mope and I whine and I keep drinking and I do nothing about it, then that defines me. But if I get up every day and I pray to God and I see the plan he has for me and I put in the work, that defines me as a person to show how strong and courageous I am. God, people talk about prayer and how it works if it doesn't work. And that's the thing about prayer is God's already done his part, okay? Prayer works if you put in the work. Like for me, for instance, when I was an addict, and Wanzi knows this because I'd call her drunk so many times, my thing is I would get drunk and I'd make the phone call. They say the phone's the heaviest thing, right? I'd make the phone call when I'm drunk. Well, that was pointless. What does it matter now? And I'd call her and then I would pray to God, God, why do you give me this? God's job is to not come down and slap the bottle out of my hand. My job is to pray, and God's job is to keep that bottle from ever being in my hand. And that's the difference that I'm doing today, is I'm not waiting until I have the bottle in my hand. I'm making the prayer when I'm weak, and God keeps me from ever putting that bottle in my hand. And that's the main difference I'm doing. And that's real, guys. And prayer works if you work it. Just like the program works if you work it, right? Prayer does the same thing, guys. But there's one more thing I wanted to. But yeah, that's one thing, and you're going to come in moments of weakness. I know you guys are in here right now, and the one thing I loved coming through here. I don't know about you guys, but this place literally saved my life. I met some of the most important people that I've ever met. Big John, had so many great conversations with that guy. That guy right there, if you guys get a chance to, man, talk to that guy. Star, Wanzi, all these people, man, they've helped me out so much. A few months ago, about 6 months ago, I was about 6 months in, 2 or 3 months in. I don't know about you guys, but one of my weakness places is 7-Eleven. I used to buy Four Locos and shots, and 7-Eleven was like my place because they had everything. And I was about 60 days in, and I was sad, and I was scared. I called my auntie. I called her. I said, "Hey, I need you to do me a favor." She's like, "What?" I said, "I'm pulling in 7-Eleven right now. I don't trust myself to go in and get gas and get a bang. Can you stay on the phone with me?" And she did. And I was so proud of myself because I didn't let the phone be heavy, guys. I felt the moment of weakness as I pulled in the parking lot. And I did. I was like, okay, my fiance's at work. I'm off. I can it's like 10 o'clock. I can drink. She won't know. I can sober up before I get home because that's what I used to do. That's what my stupid ass disease tells me and what I used to do. And I called my auntie and she answered and she talked me out of the parking lot. I got a bang. I got gas. I drove away. Stuff like that. And that comes from prayer, guys. That literally shows me every day when I pray to God, God, if something comes across me that makes you weak today, give me the strength to get through it, please, whatever it is. Whether it's a phone call, whether it's a text, whether it's anything. And that has gotten me through so much in life. And I'm going to continue to do that every single day. The one thing too that people complain about the smallest things in life, man. And we have to realize how blessed we are. It sucks. I get it. When you're here in rehab, man, it sucked. I didn't want to go at all. But you're here. You're alive. Some of you guys go, 10 days, 20 days, 30 days, 60 days. Where was the 90 days in the back? Or 90 days, right? 60 days. 60 days. My Oklahoma guy. Smart guy. Oklahoma, love it. But I'm just saying, we're still, we got to take little victories like this every single day. And I encourage people. I'm a very positive person. My fiance will tell you, we'll be out and about. We'll be at the store. If you're behind me in line or something like that, we're going to talk. I talk to everybody. I say hi to everybody. I do. If I'm at Walmart, I'm going to know I'm serious. I know she's been in the same house for so many years. I've been with her 2 years. I know all the neighbors now. She's like, "Who's that?" "Oh, yeah, that was my dude." "Yeah, that's the new neighbors. They just moved. They got 2 kids, a dog." She's like, "What the?" I'm like, "Yeah, I talk to everybody." But what I encourage people, guys, is you don't realize how sometimes when people are having a bad day and how a little bit can go so far. Whether you're out and about on the streets or you're at the store and just a fist bump to somebody or a high five. Or if you know someone's struggling with fitness or something or weight or, "Hey man, you look good today. Oh bro, I like that shirt. I like those shoes." I don't know about you guys, but I know in some of the moments of my weakness, when someone just threw a small compliment at me, man, I was like, oh heck yeah. It got me through the day. You know what I mean? And that's part of recovery, guys, is we just have to be there for each other. That's the best thing about this place in Discovery House is the camaraderie of this, man. I know it took me 2 years after I got out of here to finally get my shit together and get clean and sober. That's my fault. That's because I wasn't doing it right. That's because I didn't truly surrender and I didn't want to admit I'm an alcoholic. But I am an alcoholic, and I'm okay with saying that. I'm okay with that. But this time around, the difference is I'm doing it for myself. She didn't throw me in there. No one threw me in there. I woke up that morning, I prayed to God, and I said, God, I'm broke. I need you to fix me. I'm an alcoholic. I can't do it anymore, man, because I can't. You know, you never know when your last drink is. My mom got clean and sober for about 1.5 years until Wet Brain caught up to her. She was clean for 1.5 years, and then it slowly came up to her. I don't know about you guys, but that scares the shit out of me. To never know when your last drink is. And that's how I take it every day. I don't want to have my last drink, and you know, I don't want to go there. You know, one more other. Oh, sorry, guys. My mouth is dry. You know, another thing that it motivates me too, like I said, guys, I resort a lot of my stuff as far as my sobriety back to my faith and my fitness, because fitness is one of the most important things to me. One of the things that motivates me, you know, I have on my running shoes, I write all the names of people who have passed away in my life, like my mom, you know, some uncles, some cousins, stuff like that. You know, and it's something that motivates me when I go running or when I go to the gym. I always look down at my shoes, and I think of the people who aren't here today and who I get to live for every day. And that inspires me and motivates me to stay sober. And I'm not just doing it for myself. I'm doing it for all these other people too, man. Like, I know if you guys saw, but I came over this last year called God Spots Me. I was at the gym one day and I was just like thinking about God was talking to me. And I went and wrote it in my notebook, and I got home and I had this ugly drawing, and she's like, what's that? And I was like, don't worry about it. And I got a t-shirt made. It looked better. The drawing was terrible. I'm not an artist. Sorry. Stick figures, I'm great. Let's go. But I can't draw. No. Sorry, don't do that. But I always come up with little slogans and stuff like that helps me stay positive and motivated. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's something I do. And then one other thing I always talk about too is, like, you know, one thing that is very important to me is, like, I consider myself God's sober warrior. You know, that's another thing I think of. It's like God has my back no matter what. You know, as long as you pray for him, as long as I keep putting him first and I keep putting him over my addiction, you know, then that's one thing. I'm not focusing so much on my addiction. I'm focusing more on my relationship with God. And as long as I do that, he'll put addiction to the side, and he'll keep that relationship, and he'll keep me sober, and he'll keep me alive. You know, and like I said, accountability is a huge thing for me. With my life, man, like I said, I got a beautiful fiance. Another thing too is I have an amazing stepdaughter she'll be 16 in a couple days. And one thing that motivates me every day is I don't want her ever seeing her mom dating someone who's an alcoholic. You know, her mom's been through some stuff. We've all been through some stuff. I never want that little girl, when someone says, hey, how's Brandon? Like, I never want her saying, oh, he's a drunk, he's an alcoholic, he's not. No, I want her to say he's reliable, he's dependable, he's a faithful man, he's good to my mom, he's good to me, he's good to us, he takes care of us, he's happy, he's positive, he loves God, he loves my mom, he loves me. That's the person I want to be. And with my faith in God, guys, I get to do that. I get to push my addiction to the side. Like I said, nowadays I think of reasons to stay sober instead of reasons to drink. And I got a ton of them. And it's accountabilities like that, like my stepdaughter and my fiance and my job, my career, and being able to come here and speak in front of you guys. Guys, I know you don't realize how much this means to me. You guys let me come talk today. Like, I needed this. You know, I really needed this. Like, I was so, I don't know if I'm screwing up or if I'm sounding good, whatever, but I needed this. I've been wanting to just get out and share and just say what works for me. And the thing that scared me the most is, like I said, I can't sit here and say that I got a sponsor. I can't sit here and say that I've done this 12 steps on paper with a sponsor. I haven't. My first time around in rehab, I got a sponsor, and he let me down. He was terrible. And it always kind of scared me. The thing I'm saying is, I just haven't found, God hasn't placed the right person in my life for me to trust to be that person. You get what I'm saying? The way I'm doing it is on life terms. I'm using my sobriety through my, I have a sponsor. I have God. I talk to him every day. Like I said, I talk to him every day, and he's there for me. And like I said, in my life, guys, I put the 4 most important things in my life every day ahead: sobriety, faith, family, and fitness. Without my sobriety, I wouldn't have my faith, and I wouldn't get to have my family, and I definitely wouldn't be able to get to work out. And I love working out. So I just want to let you guys know, each and every one of you here, I appreciate you guys letting me talk, and I'm proud of each and every one of you guys for just coming here, you know, accepting that you need help, coming to rehab. I didn't want to be here, man. I didn't. And I came 3 times, and I don't care what anybody says. You know, I remember one thing when I came to rehab, and real quick, let me wrap it up. That they said in one of the classes, I think they said 1 in 10 people will come back, I think 3 to 5 times or relapse. And a buddy of mine a few months ago sent me a text message. He says, "Hey man, you're doing 1% of what people can't do." And now instead of being on that wrong side of the statistic, I'm the 1 of 10. And I'm so proud of that. That I'm on the right side of the statistic. And as long as I have my faith and I have, you know, my prayers and I have everything, man, and I have stuff like this. I have people like you in my life, and I get to come share and talk. You know, this truly is what's saving my life every single day. And I just want to, you know, thank each and every one of you guys. I know I don't know everybody in here, but thank you for listening today and let me speak. Because you guys literally are saving my life today for the next 4 hours. So, thank you guys.